Can you also
Yeah.
share this link
Okay, go
for
ahead.
the viewers?
Yeah,
Yan.
sure. All right. Hello. Good evening. We are live now in RD3. And as you can see, I'm only me, CJ, and Gigi aren't here, but I am with Kara. You remember her, the GM that GM does the module, her module that we showcased the field trip of the Forgotten Paths, and I have the physical book right here. You can see it. Kara, you won't see it on your end, but you would see this in the post stream. I have your book because what I'm doing right now is, you know, I've began my like my shelfie as a TTRPG lover and enthusiast because I've like uh, gone tired now of owning like PDFs. So I'm like, I want to have a shelfie, like how the bigger TTRPG enthusiasts are in the West. Diba? They have like this shelf na
Oh,
puro, yeah, diba? So I have this one now. I have this one, yung book ni Kara. And then I also have this one by Justin Alexander. This one's I can highly recommend to you as well, Kara, yung So You
mm.
Want to Be a Game Master. This one's like this is where I get most of some ideas and inspiration in order to like refine, diba? We as GM sometimes we wanna refine
Mm-hmm.
our games, diba? And so this is one of those sila So You Want to Be a Game Master by Justin Alexander. And for you as well, Kara, I just want to share for you and everyone else is that I just recently came back from Malaysia, and they also have this cool
Ooh.
community there of tabletop RPGers. As in, um, it's very diverse rin sila. They have and the fun part there is doon ko lang nakuha yung 2024 physical books talaga. So I have them like
Oh.
now na, and these are hard to find. Like I don't know why we don't have it yet here out of stock, but yeah, so these are going on my shelf as well. So I have all the three core books of the 2024 na uh, with me. And in Malaysia, I learned that they have like this hobby store that sells only tabletop RPG stuff. As in, it's
Wow.
yeah, yun nga yung pinaka ano to. That's where I was like curiousness. How is your business model? Because you know when it comes to tabletop RPGs, it's not should it's
Mhm.
isn't your bread and butter, diba? It's usually you have your front like your Magic the Gathering, your card games, board games, right? And
Right.
them it's just they basically the mechanic of their store is you rent the space. So
Uh-huh.
you pay for the space, and then it has a mini cafe as well, and you
Mm.
can buy a little bit like pika pika for your group, and then you pay per hour, yeah, for the table. They have some books for rent like your D&Ds, your Call of Cthulhu's, Vampire the Masquerade, Cosmere,
Oh, wow.
Avatar, yeah, they have a lot of RP. As in,
Oh, even that.
it's ano to. I'm also trying to make a video and posting it sa YouTube on my Malaysia trip because that was like I was blown away by that. Because usually every time when I travel to Korea, Taiwan, or Japan, the hobby stores that sell
Mhm.
tabletop RPGs, they sell the board games. You know, they sell the other hobby stuff. You know, your board games, your card games
Mhm.
and stuff. Ito lang talaga yung sa Malaysia, yung parang, this is interesting and very. I find it na very high risk. You know what I mean? In terms of the business side, you know. But it was a good sight nga to see nga that they have like this strong active community rin there. And syempre, tayo rin naman here sa Philippines, hindi naman tayo nagpapatalo. We still have our own active communities as well, di ba, yung mga communities that we have. So, ayun lang. I guess that's like an update on where I've been. That's why I haven't been like streaming with sila CJ and Gigi for a while. And of course, yeah, before we get down for tonight, like
Mhm.
the biggest thing we're going on tonight, and you could see in the title, is that I'm excited, actually personally excited to have a preview of an upcoming game. All right, so it's not the Field Trips of the Forgotten Paths na 5e D&D module, no, but Carabao Chronicles, and Cara here is gonna be giving us a sneak peek on Twice Upon a Dream, which is another TTRPG system where I am itching to get my teeth on and ask questions and geek out with her tonight. Yeah, and so before I give the floor to her, I've been yapping for a while now. This also, this month of May is also special for RD3 because we are partnered with Potion Project. As you can see in the stream right now, we have a QR code for those who want to donate for Potion Project for rescued dogs and cats, rescued animals. And on May 24, RD3 is going there to spend some time with these rescued pets. So if you're a fur lover, just like me, I have my fur baby. She's not right here at the moment. She's in the room. But yeah, we would be, if you can go, then this is a moment that you could spend some time to donate for a good cause. So this stream and recording for tonight is also partnered with Potion Project, who we would be helping out as well. So without further ado, yeah, let's get into the meat. I mean, I'll give the floor now to Cara. So Cara, tell me more about Twice Upon a Dream.
All right, so Twice Upon a Dream, light to be exact,
Oh, it's not that. Okay.
is yes. For now, we have the light version, and essentially, it is a romance reincarnation TTRPG. So, just to make it more easier to imagine how it goes, imagine the game Alice is Missing mixed with thirsty sword lesbians and with some mechanical aspect similar to Mothership. All in one game. As well as, like, if you know the video game Monster Prom, it shares some likeness to it, too.
All right. So we have three inspirations, as you mentioned. Alice is Missing. That's a social deduction. That's a silent game, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Alice is Missing, and then Thirsty Sword Lesbians, which I haven't played yet. I haven't read it yet. But I think it won an Annie as well. I forgot the year. But yeah, that and Mothership, the alien horror where you're trapped in a ship, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you're trapped.
Very far from the other ones, yeah.
So now, with those three descriptions and those three like inspirations for games, for me that hasn't read yet or hasn't have the copy of the light version, I now have a lot of questions suddenly. You know, what part of the game what part of Mothership is incorporated to the game, and what part of Alice is Missing? Because those two are like far left and far right, you know, in terms of experiences.
Exactly. So in terms of Mothership, we took like inspirations from some of the mechanical aspect because like we have our own skill tree for one.
And how many skills are there?
So in total, there are 6 skills for the light version, but in the future version, there's going to be much more than that.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Can you list me down like the 6 skills?
So first, under body, we have visage, nerve, and brawn. And then for our next attribute, which is mind, it's empathy, intellect, and the last one, let me try to remember real quick. Empathy, intellect, and I believe creativity, if I'm not wrong. No, I think that's another one.
Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So body. So body is like the core component of your character, and you have 3 subcategories for it. It's visage, nerve, and brawn. And
exactly.
Then in mind, you also subcategorize it into empathy, intellect, and creativity. Right.
Right.
So all 6. Okay. So it's not. Okay. So now it's not like skill heavy like the other TTRPGs. So you don't have like.
No.
Yeah.
Action. It's not creativity. It's charm.
Charm.
Both C's. My bad.
Okay. Charm. So it's not so much like a heavy skill game where your character is like maybe
No.
athletic or performance or street smarts and all that from other games. So it's a very bare bones because the goal of the game. Yeah,
Hmm.
what's the goal of the game?
So essentially, the goal of the game is to find love or deep-founded connections through reincarnation.
Okay, that's a lot to unpack. So,
Yes, a lot.
um, so that means we're playing a dating simulator.
Exactly. In
All right.
short,
In short,
essentially, it's an
yeah, it's
ultimate TTRPG.
okay. Now here's the curious part for a dating simulator.
Mm-hmm.
What's the role of the GM here then?
So we call our GM Fate Masters.
Hmm.
So essentially, their goal is to try to create or facilitate in helping people find connections while putting obstacles throughout that would may adverse them from finding love or forming deep bonds or so on and so forth. So more pretty much like life, how you try to find someone, but there's like issues, like maybe you're too busy working, or maybe you find yourself having a hitch on your app or something. So pretty much like that in an essence.
Mm. So
Hmm.
okay, so run through me like maybe a session, like a quick session. Like if you're the GM, you just set like yeah, freebie for now. Yeah, to just to visualize. So like it's always in any TTRPG games, but the GM sets up something before giving the reins to the player to interact with the world. So how does like a first session or a first scene go
Mm.
in this one?
Okay. So for Twice Upon a Dream Light, so this is played in one sitting. It's like every game is pretty much a one shot, essentially.
Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
So okay, if it's a one shot and then we have four players, right?
Right.
And then we create characters, all right? We create characters and all
Hmm.
that. There are no classes here, right? There are no classes, no abilities. So it's just
There
straight
are no
up.
classes.
Yeah, there are no classes,
Hmm.
no abilities. So it's straight up, almost like playing The Sims, like a sim character. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Okay, so now how does the GM open the scene then? Maybe we could do like a quick one, like score right now. Like for example, me, I have a, or let's do like how Deborah and Wolf did to introduce D&D. Maybe we can see Twice Upon a Dream, like a quick. I mean, it's a rule slide. So yeah, you're the GM right at the moment, Kara. So how do you
Hmm.
open the your game up?
All right. So first, we work on character creation. We make a quick run of creating your character, and we choose either us as a group or the Fate Master themselves would choose the setting. And
Ah,
our settings are called periods. So, like,
mm,
you
okay.
can be in dark academia, like Victorian era, or maybe futuristic. So, it's really up to
For the
either the
table.
collective or the Fate Master. Exactly.
Ah, okay. So from character creation, and then you set the world, basically, or the setting that you are in. Ah, I see. And then, so that's like
Hmm.
step two. And then the step three, how does the game open up?
So, it depends on which module that you're playing in, but typically, when you're starting off, you'll meet all of your romanceable NPCs when you start.
Oh, okay. So NPC, so the GMs is gonna be provide or GM, I mean the Fate Masters are gonna be providing NPCs for players like myself, to romance. I thought it was like player between
Exactly.
player. Ah, or is it between player?
It's a player with NPC.
Ah, okay. So the
Yeah,
so the Fate Masters has an NPC as well, which are the romanceables, and then
exactly.
the players have their own romanceables as well. So I can have a choice between if I romance the player or the DNPC.
So for this version, it's only with the NPCs. So Unfortunately, we have not tried to like iron out how we would go about with player to player romance.
Ah, okay.
Hmm.
So what does okay, what so is me and my friends, for example, you mentioned that we can be four and one is the Fate Master. So all of us are okay. I'm thinking in terms of like a D&D here, or your usual high fantasy
Uh-huh.
TTRPG. So all four of us need to work together to resolve the NPC that was set up by the Fate Master.
It's encouraged for you to work together to help each other and finding love. It's really dependent on how you approach the game because like we've had some prototyping done with
Mm-mm.
the game and different people approached it very differently per game. For
Ah,
example, one was like the wingman, didn't find love but like
mm,
helped everyone find love.
ah.
One was like heavily introverted and didn't want to bother, like a arrow romance type thing.
So how does the game resolve that? Like for example, yeah, we'll have players wherein approaching it na, oh, I don't want to engage in this story, or I'll be the aloof one, like
Ah,
where's the fun that they would get in this game?
so based on my own observation from that, like they don't necessarily just find fun from romancing the NPCs, but also helping their friends or other players find love in such a way, or like
Ah.
even engaging in the story itself. Because the beauty about Twice Upon a Dream is like you don't get to play yourself just once. You get to play yourself twice because of the reincarnation factor.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Now the stakes are in because you're gonna die.
Exactly.
You're gonna die.
Mhm.
Death. So how does death occur here? So now, yeah, we have a setting in mind. How long does or how does time track in your game?
So time for us tracks with real time. So like the amount you get to play in the period is really dependent on what you've all agreed upon. Like if it's 1 hour, you get to only enjoy it for 1 hour. Or 2 hours, it's only for 2 hours per period. Because typically this game is supposed to be played up till 4 hours ish.
Mm.
So you
So,
can play at least two periods per.
what's the incentive? Let's say you fall in love in the first period. Uh,
Mhm.
does that mean my game's over? Like, okay, I've fallen in love in the first period, so see you guys, see you next week, kind of thing. Or yeah, what's the incentive of going to the next period? Is it gonna be like a change of setting as well? If it's gonna be
Yes.
ah, so but you don't make a new character. Go back to step one in character creation.
Actually, you do because, like, in action, the actual concept of reincarnation, right? You become a different person every life.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you look at our character sheet, we have another row where you make another character, essentially, but still has the likeness of the previous character. Perhaps the goals are different now; it's a different time period, but there's that. And regarding your question about like incentives, even
Mm-mm.
if you find love, the thing is that if you do not meet the full gauge in the love meter or our love relationship tracker, the next life you go into, your lover might forget you, or
Ah.
you have to try again a bit harder to get them back or remind them of your past lives together. So it's kind of that essence.
So okay, I'm starting to
Hmm.
get the picture now.
Yeah, it's
So
like star-crossed lovers.
mm-mm.
Hmm.
It's where's my next question? Okay, so the game opens like the scene. You start in a hotel. Let's say the typical like a romance opening. You start in a hotel. You see this woman or a man with very attractive features,
Hmm.
and then you give the option to the player. What do you do? and they're gonna be
Right.
they approach this person, and based on they roll the skills. Am I right? They roll skills. So
Right.
I approached this female in front of me and asked her, "How's the weather?" And then you roll charm. But that's the weakest. That's the weakest. That's the weakest opening. But that's how it goes, right?
Right. And really, the dice rolls is also dependent on really the skill tree reflecting on how things go, but also it brings in the next mechanic of the game, which is Dharma and Adharma. So essentially, when the DM feels like you're not really having personal growth or, really progressing, they will give you a Dharma point, which is like a negation to your skill checks, like a -1.
So okay, back on the same scenario, hotel lobby. My character
Mhm.
approaches the female, the attractive female, and what dice do I roll pala? It's a D10?
We use D10s.
D10.
Just D10s throughout
So
this whole
one
thing.
D10. So I approach it. Okay, I approach the female across the room that the Fate Master created, and riz my way. I roll a D10 and add my charm.
So it's a bit different because you roll a D10, and the modifier that you have for charm, let's say a +2, will give you an extra 2 dice to roll. So you will be rolling 3 D10s in total.
Oh, so
Yeah.
on your character creations, upon like distributing the stats and the bonuses on your skills, it equates to an additional dice.
Exactly.
Okay, so you roll. So basically, one D10 plus X number of dice, X number of D10 dice, depending on the skill. And
Exactly.
what determines success here? Is 10 a success? Is 1 a success?
10 is a success with a positive outcome, but 6 is the minimum that you need to pass. But what really determines it, let's say you have those 3 D10s, right? If you rolled a 1 and a 1, and then the other one, it was like a 7, you'd still fail because majority of your dice are low, if that makes sense.
Okay, wait. 6 is pass, you mentioned.
Yeah, 6 is the pass.
Okay, and then you fail once you go above 6?
Oh, you pass if you go above 6. So between 6 to 10 is the passing gauge.
And then
Below that,
below
it's
that you
fail.
fail.
Yeah.
So having you mentioned example of a 7. I'll give you an example again from the results. So yeah, back to the scenario so that everyone as well at home can be briefed. My character. Okay, let's say you're the Fate Master. Basically, you have a character already. You generated an NPC for me to interact with. My character approaches your NPC and tries to charm his way. And I roleplay what I say to this person, and you ask me to roll a charm check, right?
Right.
And then in our example, let's say you mentioned that our charm is +2, so I'm gonna be getting 3d10 and rolling it.
Right.
Okay, and let me pull out some random dice then.
We're really simulating this.
We're gonna be playing this game. We're gonna be playing this game. All right. I'm gonna get the hang of it. At the end of the stream, I already know the game. I'll be playing this game. All right. Okay. So I roll 3d10, and the result is 3, 8, and 1.
Okay, 3, 8, and 1.
Yeah.
So that's a fail because majority of your dice has failed.
How does it fail? Oh, because majority of the dice failed because I had a 3 and a 1. Okay.
Exactly.
So that means my riz toward your NPC, there's going to be a complication happening. Maybe asking about the weather as an opener is really a bad a bad pickup line, guys. So
Don't do
don't
that.
do that. All right. So, all right. Is there a way to improve this scenario with a dharma? Is, am I correct? Like,
Yes, so you would get a Dharma point, but we also have another layer of mechanic called the Scale of Fortune. So essentially, it means that when you suck in your rolls, it will play with the hands of fate and how it will reflect to your future things. Um, so like I would ask you to roll another d10, for example,
okay.
to determine your scale of fortune. But when you go down the tier, it makes you more unlucky throughout the game, just to keep it simple.
Mm. So,
Mhm.
does that mean my choices in this setting would be affecting the character and their stats or their bonuses in the next life?
Exactly.
There, okay,
That's
okay.
completely right.
Now it's gonna be a life path. Okay, now now this is gonna be interesting. Now, all right, all right. So if
So
you,
it's a roguelike aspect, you know?
yeah, okay. So so now everything lies on character creation, pala.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everything lies. So yeah, run me through character creation then, because that's the step one, pala.
Okay,
Um,
so for character creation, when you're starting with the skill tree, you have 7 points that you can distribute throughout the tree. So attributes, which include your body, mind, and soul, cost three
also,
points.
Soul
Yeah.
doesn't have a sub like skill there, no?
No, because it's more so more so like connected to your connection to the period that you're in. So, like, if this period has magic, you would roll the soul die. Or if this period has tech, you would roll the soul die.
Ah, okay. Yeah, it's more
Hmm.
tied to the setting since we're changing settings all the time. Okay.
Exactly. To
So
make it
we
more cleaner.
yeah, I understand. So that you don't have to like yeah, when players give, those vague or out of the box requests, yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, so we start with 7 points and we distribute it. So Soul gets a times 3 bonus for each
No,
point.
um, essentially, you would pay like 3 points from your 7 points for the attributes, your body, mind, and soul. So let's say you want to buy one soul point, it will cost you three.
Hmm.
And then for
Okay.
skills, it only costs one.
Ah. So
Mhm.
what if I put everything in Soul? What does it do?
So if you put everything in soul, I guess during moments where it's tied to like more period checks, you would do much more better. But the others is like, you have some issues with your luck for
Ah.
sure.
So
Yeah.
so you mentioned period checks. So yeah, because I understand body and mind. That's basically your character's physique and
Mhm.
mental fortitude. So the soul for period checks, as you mentioned, how does that play out for a Fate Master?
So it's really dependent on for example, the period that you're currently in, because each period has, right, a unique factor to them. So, for example, maybe in one of our settings, we have ancient China.
Mhm.
So, and we like to intertwine magic as well. Maybe there's like some mysticism, and you want to do a check for that. The FM would call you to roll for a soul check then. Or something themed like for example how Chinese have a tea leaf raiding. The FM would call you to do that soul check for that.
Mm. So it's like a yeah, you're mentioning a period check where it period check. Uh like a setting check wherein yeah,
Mhm.
if your backdrop, so it's like the backdrop events happening. So if you mention like your period is somewhere in pre-colonial Philippines under the Spanish colonization, maybe
Mm-hmm.
the Fate Master can throw, oh, suddenly the Spanish has found you and called you, or maybe dubbed both of you as Katiponeros, or assumed to be part of the rebel group. So roll me soul check
Mm-hmm.
to see if you um like ano to? To see if you hide. I mean, because that could be fallen charm. Well, yeah, I'm still getting. Can you give me an example on this? How like a soul check would play out in game?
Okay, let's say we'll take your Filipino setting.
Yeah,
Good
yeah, yeah.
idea, though, for a future expansion, by the way.
What? You already wrote. You wrote, and you skipped the process to us.
We just wanted a setting that can have like so many diverse diasporas. So we're sorry. We will. We'll add it.
I mean, we have we already, you can take inspiration from No Limit Angere. I mean, it's right. There's a forbidden love right
True.
there, right? So yeah, with the backdrop of the Spanish occupation. So yeah, so I mean, back to your example. Yeah, we have the setting of the Spanish occupation. Yeah.
Yeah, but we do have a Filipino setting, but it's like modern romance. So
That
like
is sure.
Filipino uni.
Yeah.
Just so our Filipino audience won't be mad at me.
You're gonna be writing something in pre-colonial now, or during the Spanish occupation.
Right, we're just pressured to add that scene now.
Yeah. So yeah, back on the soul check. Yeah, this is
Mhm.
something I want to get down as well. Yeah, can you give me an example of it as a Fate Master?
Okay. So, for example, you're in pre-colonial Philippines and you want to, for example, maybe work with a mangkukulam, or to our foreign audience is like a witch,
Yeah.
and like to help her compose the potion, you would have to roll a soul check to make the kulam or the curse.
Um.
So that's an example. It's very themed into the setting, and it's appropriate because there's no other checks that would really match that, right?
Oh, that's true. You're asking for a
Mm-hmm.
specific potion, and yeah, visage, nerve, brawn, empathy, intellect, charm. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, so if our setting, let's say, yeah, that was what's closer, like in a D&D setting, the high fantasy one. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
asking for maybe, yeah, you need a charm person spell crafted, you know, that's when a soul check. So when the player says, oh, I can't, I'm about to die, and I really want to fall in love with this NPC that you made. So yeah, let me find a magic item in the world that would improve that, and that's when you can call for a soul check.
Exactly.
Okay, so we have 7 points,
Mm-hmm.
and we distribute that. So mind body is only one value of one, so I can
Oh,
have
mind body is the value of 3. All attributes, mind, body, and soul are values of 3.
okay, values of
Yeah.
3. And so when I say values of 3, so I have 7 points, right? How do I distribute
Right.
this?
Honestly, we've had crazy distributions when we play tested this.
So
Because the beauty of this
mm,
pooling is that you can negate other skills just so you can build other skills up. For example, I will have a -1 in charm. So now I have 8 points, right? So I
um
can add it anywhere else. Or if I -1 in my mind and make myself stupid, I get an additional 3 points, diba? So like
so by
you
default
can really experiment.
So by
Mm-hmm.
default, your visage, nerve, brawn, empathy, intellect, and charm are one.
Uh, by default, it's all 0
Oh,
for
you start at
everything.
0. Okay.
Yeah.
So you start at 0, and then if you go negative, that's when you increase it from your starting 7 points to suddenly 8 points.
Right.
Okay. So the lower, how much negative can you go? Like
Honestly, we did not make a rule for that. So I've seen
Okay.
one person, actually Ravi, he did a negative 20 in Brawn, I think.
Oh, but there's none rule yet on like the maximum negative.
No,
There's
so
no
you
hard
can go
rule yet.
ham, to be honest.
Okay. But then why would you be so much negative? As in, like, what's a negative 20 brawn?
I don't know. Yeah, I feel like physically you're just a noodle at that point.
Yeah. And then you put everything in charm, and it's like, is it an attractive noodle or something?
Exactly.
What is this? Okay, I think you guys can also think about how that, like how negative is the slider gonna be, so that
Right.
you can still have something like something feasible, like like a resemblance of a humanoid, you know, that can.
Exactly.
Because yeah, it kind of yeah. One in the chat says negative 20 Bron hindi nakapagtulak ng box. So that's fair. Hindi ka makapagtulak ng box and then you invest in but that's kind of extreme pag negative 20 for tas hindi ka makapagtulak ng box because that means your other negatives are much more minor or maybe the
That's
scaling.
right.
Maybe the scaling is gotta be fixed. Maybe -5 is the max. I don't know. I mean,
We'll fix the
you can
scaling
fix
for
like the
sure because
scaling.
negative 20 is not gonna work.
Yeah, negative is not. That's not gonna work. In the upper limit, there's none
The
yet.
upper limit, there's nothing yet. So you
So
can have a plus 20 in Visage and be the hottest person on earth
Prince Charming,
if you
literally.
wanted.
Yeah, if I'm gonna be making a character na Prince Charming, in like Prince Charming.
Just throw it out there.
Yeah,
and
and
then-
charm, like brawn and charm, you know, brawn and charm. Yeah. So yeah, so I guess we need to have like a limit on the how lower and how higher, because maybe the builds are gonna be like whack out there. So, but there, yeah, you start
Exactly.
with 0, and then you have 7, and then each. So if I'm gonna get one visage, that would make my visage 1, and then my remaining skills 4. Since I purchased one visage. Am I correct?
So you purchased one Visage, you still
Yeah.
have 6 points to purchase anything else.
Oh, why is that? I thought body is 3, but visage is in body.
You can still have Visage without purchasing from body.
Oh, so tell me body and mind then, since those are more now specific pala.
Really good question. So, going into more of the nitty gritty and skill checks.
Mhm.
So, if you the reason why body, mind, and soul cost a lot is because they add dice to any general roll within the skills. So, for example, I call for a brawn check. I don't have any investment in brawn, but I have a body. So I can still add another dice from my body check if I have like a +1. So instead of rolling a d10, it's now 2d10.
So even though you have 0 in bronze, so it's a catch-all, like body and mind.
Exactly.
So if let's say I buy 1 point in body, 1 point in mind, I have 1 point left, and I'll put it in intellect.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. So let's say that's where my starting character would be. You know, like I'll take 1 point in body. I'm making my own character sheet now with just using notes. 1 point in mind, and I'll put 1 point in intellect right there. All right. So I've done with my skills. I've distributed all the 7. What's the next step?
Okay, so the next step is a very fun part mechanically that we have, which is our fate cards. So we've integrated or included the major arcana to our system.
Mm-hmm.
So how we did it is that we have all of our major arcana involved, and each one has a bonus for your skills or even your attributes. And it has an excerpt, so like a special ability. Kind of like if you played the game Cult of the Lamb, how they have that in their card mechanic. You know, you have just like a bonus when you play the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're currently fixing how we go into like distribute the cards, but it's more like a resource management system on our approach now. So, for example, let's say you have upside down strength, which has negative abilities, unfortunately, and you have an upright, for example, devil card. So both of them may have good stuff, but like if you use the excerpt or the abilities of those cards, you get to discard them and get new cards for the next period or next lifetime you go into. Parang ganon.
How many cards can I hold?
You can hold 2 cards.
2 cards.
Per lifetime.
Per lifetime. Oh, there.
Yeah, or per period.
Okay. And these cards are random, or can I pick them?
These cards are random.
Okay. So
yeah.
I distribute my points and skill, and then I pick 2 random cards. And afterwards, can we pick 2 random cards now? Do you have the cards with you?
I do have the cards. Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
So first, I will draw 3 cards, and then just tell me which one you want to get. And the fun thing is the DM can turn anything upside down, or you can ask if you want to turn anything upside down or upright without knowing what it really is, just for like the fun factor.
Oh, okay.
You know, kasi which one do you want upside down? Card number 1, 2, or 3?
I would go with 2.
2, okay. And which one do you want to flip? You can pick 2 cards, 1, 2, or 3.
I'm gonna be flipping 1 and 3.
1 and 3. Wow, you got the upside down moon and temperance.
So, what does it do?
So, what does it do? So, let me actually get out the guide. Oops. Give me a second. There we go. Just so I can tell you what it specifically does. So, a bit of a spoiler-ish.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're already in character creation naman eh. So, yeah, I'm getting it. Let's go all the way. Let's create a character.
Right. Okay, so we have temperance. Let me get that out.
Yeah, temperance and upside down moon. That's what I picked.
Okay. This is a thick document. Give me a second.
Oh. So you have all cards na like detailed on that on the light? If I get a copy of the light right now, there's already a copy of the cards and what their effects are once I create a character.
Yeah.
All right, that's cool.
Exactly. All right. So what temperance does, if it's reversed, flip a coin. On heads, you gain +2 to a random skill. On tails, you gain -2 to a random skill. And the excerpt, turn all successes and positive outcomes into failures and negative outcomes. The opposite happens in a future reading.
Oh.
So.
Okay. Do I flip a coin now?
You can flip a coin now.
Okay.
We're really getting into this, huh?
Yeah, we sure. Let's go. Okay, let me flip a coin.
Okay.
It's heads. Also, before you tell me what heads does, I just want to greet Amia. Hello, welcome to the stream. We're just creating a character and maybe running a quick scenario for a tabletop RPG that Cara, the author, is gonna be presenting, entitled Twice Upon a Dream. So for the viewers out there, yeah, we're still stuck in character creation, so there'd be a lot of scruff and a lot of flipping over the books and looking over the notes. So bear with us. So yeah, I've got heads.
Okay, so heads. You know, so heads, you get a +2 to a random skill. Would you like me to pick the random skill? Or do you want to just roll a d6?
I mean, it's fate, since these are Arcana cards, so I'll give the floor to the Fate Master here. Yeah.
Okay.
Pick this the +2 for my skills here.
I will give you +2 to nerve.
Alright. So my nerve is now 2, right?
Right, exactly.
Right. Okay. There you go. So that's for my temperance. And now, is there anything else for temperance, or we're good with a resolving
So
temperance?
the excerpt will come in when we have our gameplay, which is not today, I think. So
I guess we could just run a single scenario so everyone and the viewers can get a feel or the vibe of maybe the gameplay loop of the game.
For the excerpt? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and now
for the upside down moon, right?
Right.
Yeah, right.
So your reverse bonus is -1 to nerves and empathy.
Okay, so now my nerve now is from 2, it goes down to 1, and my empathy is now -1. Ooh.
Yeah, so you're very apathetic as a person.
Apathetic, yeah. All right. So we're done with that. What's the next step in character creation? So I'm done with the skills. I'm done with the Arcana card, 2 cards per lifetime. This is just going to be my 1 life. So, but your game goes at most 4 lives, right?
Right.
That's 4. Yeah.
Oh, also one last thing for your excerpt for the moon. So at the beginning of each of your lifetimes, when you draw this card, the Fate Master tells you 1 truth and 1 lie. You do not know which is which.
Does it come like is there like a random table, or does the Fate Master make it up? You know, like can improv.
The Fate Master can improv depending on the scenario you're in.
Okay, and then you're just gonna give me like 1 truth, 2 statements basically, and I don't know if it's a truth or a lie. All right, so give it to me, Fate Master.
Okay, so we're doing pre-colonial Philippines.
We're going there. All right.
We're going that route. I'm sticking with it.
Let's go.
Okay, so for your statements, the mangkukulam is someone you should not trust. And your next statement, the barangay captain is having an affair. Here you go.
There you go. I don't know which one's the truth, which one's the lie. So there you go. So a question lang for the statements as well. For a new Fate Master picking up the game, there would be like a guide naman, like how to generate statements.
Exactly.
Okay.
So something basic, and we might even throw in a table just to make their life easier, you know? Because even improv is a bit hard sometimes,
yeah.
diba?
I mean,
especially for newbies.
Yeah, for newbies, yeah, for those who picking up the game, it gets very intimidating, diba? I remember my first time in being a GM, diba? Improv is hard for most, diba? But it's a skill as well for new GMs out there, or soon to be Fate Masters out there. Yeah, it's just a skill. So the book's gonna be giving you guidelines naman on how to make statements, and the Arcana cards come with. Yeah, how does one get the Arcana card? Is it a separate, or is there? Yeah.
So you can either have your own if you have tarot cards. You know, it's adaptable if you can just pick up all your major arcana from there. But when we're releasing the book, we have DIY cards at the end pages that you can just cut out.
There you go.
Yeah.
So it's okay now that your books have a lot more value, so it's in the book. I mean, some RPGs, they create the accessory add-on, so it's an
Right.
added purchase kind of thing. Okay, so now it's just part of the book. All right,
Right.
that's cool.
And we also have the separate tarot cards if you want, if you're too lazy to cut it out,
You have
no
your own.
worries.
So there. So okay, so we're done with skills. Arcana card, pick up my fate, and two statements, truth or lie. I still have to discern while we're playing. And what's next after that?
All right. And after that, the last thing is coming up with your name and what is your goal in this lifetime?
Okay, my name. Let's give them the Spanish name, and I guess Ramon. There, that's so Spanish.
All right.
Ramon Enriquez. So there we go. And a goal or agenda, right? A
Yes,
goal
so
in this
a goal.
lifetime.
Oh no.
If
With
it's
this
gonna
period.
in this yeah, it's mm, surviving, falling in. The goal needs to be doable in the period, right? So
Yeah, it can be
yeah,
doable, but
yeah.
you can be silly if you want. It's up to you.
All right, let's go something grand then. Keep Spain in control.
Oh my gosh. Well,
There you go. All right. Ramon Enriquez, and his goal is to keep Spain in control. All right. So now we have our character. We're done with character creation now?
yeah, you're done with character creation now.
Yeah.
It's finished.
It's finished. And now next is setting. And the setting we've talked about is pre-colonial Philippines.
Yes,
Is
which
there
will now be
anything
added to the book.
and is there anything else that the table has to create or establish? Because there are other games, but they have this table where everyone sits down, even a GM, and you create the world, and everyone can input what they want to have in their game. So the setting is we agree upon it's pre-colonial. Is there anything else we can add or we can um, do with it?
So for now, we have set modules, but also we have a way for the Fate Master to come up with making the world, and we like narrowed it down to 3 basic questions.
So there are guide questions.
Yes, there's guide questions to creating the world.
Okay. Oh, that's cool. Okay. So is there? Okay. So now we set pre-colonial Philippines. Is there anything else we're gonna be adding to this?
No,
That we're done.
that's about it.
All right.
Yeah.
So we have our setting, pre-colonial Philippines, and the third step.
The third step is now bring the characters, or rather the dreamers that we call them, that's what we call the players, into the game.
All right.
And then establishing everything.
All right. Then take it away, Fate Master.
All right. So this is I need to make everything on the fly. It's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. I mean, this is a rules light game, right?
Exactly. So it can really be anything.
It can be anything. Yeah. Let's go.
Okay. So you start off before you the fine white iglesia that stands before you, and surrounding you is your superiors already having their ideas of what's to come next, and of course it's the evangelization of the next tribe that they are in search for. And you, Ramon, you find in the distance, it appears that there seems to be someone heading over to the church. A woman with long dark hair and slightly tan skin. For sure, she is not another Spaniard woman. What would you like to do?
So I find this attractive woman just approaching the church.
Exactly.
I shadow her, like cautiously with enough distance not to spook her, but observe, because I haven't seen this type of beauty in the Isles when growing up. This one's like a very unique one. I kind of described it like, no, parang naging animal yung person.
Exactly. It sounds so exotic.
Exotic.
Exactly.
It's like a Nat Geo. It's only became like Nat Geo, like green up.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is the start of the game na pala. Oh, I thought we were talking about like the timeline. Like, are we establishing like we have 1 hour? It's like I have Ramon Enriquez has 1 hour to fall in love with this woman. We don't establish that. Like,
Oh, that's established before the game even starts. So there's no pressure once you go in.
so before character creation.
Yeah, it's before character creation. It's not like you start and you're like, you have 1 hour. Good luck.
Okay. So before character creation, the entire table establishes that each period is gonna be X number of hours. Okay. So yeah.
Exactly.
So back to my weird prompt right there. So I observed. So you can see this Spaniard, mestizo Spaniard, looking like a buffoon, trying to enter the church. At a distance, he must be like 6 foot tall at this point. He's a pure mestizo, and trying to hide behind the pillars and hide behind the pews of the church. Trying to take a look and just observe this woman.
And it seems like this woman is actually probably a Catholic woman. She's wearing a white laced veil and white clothing, but she strangely approaches the empty church up to the altar, placing something strange, something of the shape of a triangle. It looks like an amulet, and she sets it onto the stairway. But while you're trying to hide as a very tall mestizo man who definitely stands out, as you're the only 2 people there, could you roll me a brawn check?
All right.
To see if you're able to hide.
Yes, since I'm hiding in the side of the pews, right?
Right.
So I would be rolling a single D10.
You have a +1 in body, right?
Oh yeah, I have a +1 in body, so 2D10. Sorry.
2d10, right.
All right, it's a 10 and a 7.
You are hidden in the shadows. Wow. Okay.
My height just, you see Ramon Enriquez, with his height and stature, he kind of blends in with the pillars of the church. They kind of made it extra wide, So he can have his ways. He's very creative at that.
And with that, she does not notice you at all. And it seems like with the amulet set to the side, she goes over to one of the pews and sits down deep in prayer. It seems like she has a lot on her mind from the looks of it.
So so for Ramon Enriquez, he slowly approaches the empty. Oh no, sits from a seat behind the pew where the woman is. It's like stalker vibes.
Stalker. I guess it's archetype today.
It's like stalker vibe. Sits behind the pew from the female and tries to eavesdrop if she's praying.
All right, so she's praying, and it seems like she's speaking some other language. It doesn't sound like Tagalog or even Spanish. It seems like some sort of other dialect that you're not familiar with.
Can I try to deduce words that I could understand from this foreign language that Ramon Enriquez is suddenly hearing?
Could you roll me an intellect check?
There we go. So I have mind 1 and an intellect 1, so I'm going to be rolling 3 d10s.
Right.
All right, there you go. All right, let me roll. Okay, it's 6, 2, and 9.
That's a pass.
Oh, there we go. So Ramon Enriquez has been living for a long time in the Isles of the Philippines. And yeah, he could have caught some words and put in some context clues a bit, you know. There you go.
And it seems like she's speaking of one of the dialects that you've familiarized with, Ilonggo, and it sounds like she's actually cussing or even cursing to God about someone from what you hear. You know how some people, the first thing they learn from a language is just curse words?
Yeah.
So you understand
I
from
understand
this
first.
woman. Exactly.
Inside Enrique's mind, Ramon's mind is like, oh, this woman's very colorful language. Hates someone and wants someone killed. And so with that information, Ramon Enriquez slowly gets up from the seat behind the pews and makes his way toward the altar where the amulet has been donated, and looks at the amulet. And what does Ramon see as he tries to study the amulet that was being donated by the woman?
It seems like it has some symbols in it, but in the center it seems like there's a carving of a cross. But from the looks of it, it looks like pure gold to your eyes. This must be very expensive to make, or even something native to her village.
Okay. So as soon as knowing that, Ramon Enriquez now returns the amulet back on the altar table, makes his way confidently toward the woman, and asks in Spanish, or maybe trying, yeah, at that point I guess it's Spanish, yeah, most likely Spanish. Tries to speak to the woman, and with the little Ilonggo that he knows, tries to ask what she's praying and what seems to be bothering her. That's kind of straightforward.
Wow, she's just chilling in church, man. I'm kidding. She looks down a bit. That's just between me and Jesus. Is there anything I can do to help you? Sir? And you see that she looks a bit intimidated by you, especially seeing that you're a mestizo.
Mm-hmm. And Enriquez is just gonna smile and just says, a name would suffice.
Wow. Okay. Well, since you're doing so well right now, I will give you a Dharma point.
Oh, okay. So a Dharma, and the other one is
Dharma and a Dharma.
Oh, okay. Dharma.
So what your Dharma point does, essentially, when you roll your skill checks, it adds a +1 to all of the dice.
And a Dharma is -1 to all of the dice.
Exactly.
So your advantage and disadvantage in this game.
Right.
You know, I'm getting the vibe that you need to have like the framework of your favorite romance novels. Like your favorite telenovelas,
Exactly.
I mean, I guess the fun part here, I'm getting the fun is trying to go out of your comfort zone and really court someone.
That's right, exactly.
Yeah, and this is a really high role play. Yeah, it's a really high role play game. It's like, it's simple to pick up and create. Yeah, the character creation, all, but the complexity lies in the social na. It's like, this is like a much more deeper social experience for all. Because imagine, imagine if I run this with like an all boys. All boys.
I want to do that so badly. I'm waiting for a group to be like, oh, I'm going to do this with my bros. Can you DM Cara? Yes, I can.
This is gonna be interesting seeing all boys and trying to run out, because this is gonna test everyone's masculinity,
Right.
I'm excited.
Exactly.
I'm suddenly excited. So Okay, so you the part that okay, let's continue. Okay, before I mean we can end after the hours up, or let's see what happens when the period ends, and we're gonna see. Because once the period ends, we reset a new one. So you go back to your character creation,
Mm-hmm.
your Arcana cards, and do you get the two new statements as well when you create a new character?
You get to make a new goal in this lifetime. So,
Ah, okay.
yeah. And do you choose to discard the fate cards you chose? Actually, you
Ah,
used the excerpt, so technically you discarded both of them, right?
yeah. Ah, okay.
Okay.
So you
So
could
we'll get
keep
you a
it.
new set.
So you could keep it or use it.
Yeah. So as long as you don't use the excerpts, they'll always be with you. But if you use
Ah,
it, you consume it.
okay. Yeah, let's say I
Mhm.
used it. Okay, so let's continue. So you gave me one Dharma already because I asked for it
Right.
for a name. The name a name would suffice. As Ramon Enriquez smiles and looks at the beauty in front of him.
And you see like a slight blush cross her cheeks. I'm Emilia.
And Ramon Enriquez, Ramon and Enriquez, Ramon just looks up and looks at Emilia and goes, Ramon, pleasure to meet you in a most awkward of places, the church.
Yes, right before God. And she looks back to the
Okay.
wooden carving of Jesus Christ, all bloodied.
So, okay. Uh, okay, question now for, let's put a pause first on the game. So, like, the scene now is starting to,
Fiddle,
like,
right?
yeah, fiddle, yeah. So, what's the next goal? I mean, are we gonna be stuck in the church for the next hour or so, and I'll just be trying to riz my way to Emilia for the coming hour before my life's up?
So the beauty of this game is that there's also something more similar to like games like Pathfinder or D&D. There's also a call to adventure, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe Amelia has a problem and needs your help, and that would win her heart, right? If you helped her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
But right now, considering on like your interactions, I would give you a boost in your relationship tracker with Amelia. So from being unwritten or neutral with her, you're now acquaintances. So
Ah.
now that
So,
you're acquaintances, it gives you a +1 to all checks towards
okay.
Amelia.
Emilia.
Yeah.
You know what? Suddenly, this reminds me. If you have a lot of NPCs, it's like your Mass Effect games,
Oh yeah,
yung
yeah.
Romance of your Dragon Age game, yung or Baldur's Gate 3, diba? That's the closest one. Yung
Exactly.
Romance, yeah, you have a lot. Okay, so in the acquaintance meter, how high do you go before you say, all right, I've air quotes here, win the game because I fell in love with the NPC that I want to be with.
So we first have unwritten, acquaintance, then close, which is +2, and last would be soulmate, so +3. But on the other hand, we also have negatives. So you can be uh, a -1, 2, or 3, be rivals or enemies, and the last is like karmic with
Mm.
someone.
Okay, now that is going to be interesting for the negatives. That means
Mm-hmm.
these enemies can be, yeah, your BBEGs that would throw a wrench in the courting of your character. You know, the tools, basically, it's going to be your Fate Master's tools to spice up the
Mm-hmm.
drama, spice up the.
Exactly.
All right. So, was it
So
enemies?
like if you're enemies with Emilia, just for an example,
Uh-uh.
if you die the next life, she'll not like you.
Ah. So that's
Yeah,
where it's gonna apply in the next
exactly.
life. So the next life, so your first life in the game is more. It's also like this intro establishing of the state of the world.
Right.
Yeah, because parang it's like, for example, in a D&D, it's when you get to sprinkle in the traps in the dungeon, kind of, so to
Mm-hmm.
speak, so that by the time you're in your second life, your new
You
character would be navigating these traps. That was, is your old character and the new character like related, or
Oh,
are
they're the
they?
same person.
Ah,
So
okay.
it's like a roguelike aspect. You're the same person, but just like you changed every
Changed. Yeah,
lifetime.
change. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm still Ramon Enriquez, but let's say in a modern Filipino setting na,
Mhm.
and I have a different goal.
Yeah, you're now Ramon with an E, for example.
Like, sorry, and I have a long descendants of, from the Enriquez. That my great great grandfather managed to, fall in love with Emilia, my grandma. Okay, okay, I picture
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Okay, okay, this is gonna be fun. Okay, this one. So we have the love meter. And then you still have the call to adventure. Yeah, since we're like in the
Yes.
pre-colonial, so maybe, yeah, the plot twist, Emilia happens to be part of the KKK.
Yeah.
It's gonna be tough. You have your Romeo and Juliet trope there, and
Mhm.
let's match. So basically, that's most of the major mechanics, right? That did we
Right.
tackle? Yeah, we
That's
tackled all
all
the
of it.
major. Yeah, that's everything.
Yeah.
So now let's like. Sorry for the viewers, but we're gonna be flash forward. If you want to see Ramon's story and Emilia fleshed out, we will have a full like run playthrough of Twice Upon a Dream, like the Fate mastered by Cara herself once again, like what we did with the Field Trip of the Forgotten Paths, diba? So we're gonna
Right.
be getting folks together as well. So to expand on
Mhm.
this, so yeah, so let's say 1 hour has passed. Yeah, you do the call to adventure. Okay, sorry. Before the 1 hour pass pala, call to adventure. I guess in most tabletop RPGs, conflicts, combat.
Yes.
Yeah. So how do we resolve that? So let's flash forward. We made the core skill checks, the core mechanics of Dharma, Adharma,
Hmm.
and let's say in the guys I've made an enemy siguro in trying to fight for the love of Emilia, let's say a Filipino guy named
Hmm.
Pedro, for example, and yeah, I need to defeat him. Like let's say there's the typical, maybe the fiesta at the barangay. The church has this massive fiesta from the and everyone's gonna be like a massive celebration. My rival's
Hmm.
there, Ramon Enriquez is there, and Emilia is also there. So there's gonna be like two big alpha males trying to win over the beauty's heart. So
Hmm.
yeah, how does combat do work
Okay.
here?
So just simply put, combat is just a brawn check. Like, what we have to mitigate that part is we have contested checks. So whoever gets higher wins.
Hmm.
Simple.
So
Yeah.
is it only brawn check, or can it be like the battle of wits? Like
That can
the
be the battle of
insults.
wits.
Ah.
Hmm.
So how does the GM know that there would be you need to call for these contested checks between?
So, it can be player versus player, right? Or even player versus NPC.
Mhm.
So, when the FM identifies a conflict between two people, they would call for a check that the both of them have to do. And whoever gets highest or the better result would win.
Ah. So okay, so back to our sample scenario. It's the fiesta. Ramon Enriquez's rival is there, Pedro, and
Hmm.
he is seen trying to flirt with Emilia. Blinded with rage, I would say Ramon storms across the plaza
All
and
right.
tries to shove Pedro. And that's when you call it, right?
Right. And then I call like, okay, let's do a contested brawn check
And the
and
higher
see
one
how things
wins.
go.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it becomes better depending on your output. If you get like a 10, you get a positive outcome. You kill Pedro. I'm kidding. No.
I mean, that's kind of extreme, but
I'm
that's
kidding. I'm
extreme.
kidding. It's up to you, though. I'm not stopping you.
Yeah. That kind of shocking. Everyone's at the table like, what the? Suddenly, whole reality is like, Ramon Enriquez is super
Dramas,
huge. I mean,
like
that's true.
those K dramas where they're like, you got hit by a bus, and I'm like, what happened there?
Oh my gosh. Maybe ito yung mga wild na, like Ramon Enriquez pushes Pedro and he loses balance. He falls off. He falls to he lands prone, and then a Kalesa runs over him or something.
Exactly.
Maybe that. Yeah, I guess
Yeah, it
so.
can happen.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess it's up to the table to make it more realistic, like as grounded, basically as grounded as possible. Diba? Yeah,
Right.
yeah. And then, of course, you mentioned nga, we move acquaintances. The relationships change as well, diba? Depending on how how the GM or the FM deems it based on the choices that the characters make in the game. So okay, so that's
Yes.
combat. So it's only combat is mostly just ano to, like dice check, contested checks basically.
Right.
Yeah. This is so rules light. This is fun. This reminds me as well as the other rules light that I'm enjoying at the moment. If I can just share,
Oh.
it's Triangle Agency. Triangle Agency is this game that Ravi just ran, and I read it. It's also rules light. The two actions lang kasi that the players can do in Triangle Agency is call the agency, which is like this narrative control to change things, or use your ability. So you're medyo superpowered ka dun. And yun na yung dalawang ano to. And your goal in that game is that you all work in an agency that tries to catch anomalies like monsters or ghosts that manifest in the world. The twist is since you work in an agency, you can't reveal that you work in an agency. So that's also the comedic vibe of it. So like for example, my character is like this average middle life father. So I have a kid, I have a wife, and very mundane, but I work for the agency. I'm an intern for the agency. So look at that. I get like a 45-year-old man, but an intern in the secret agency that catches ghosts or specters in the wild. So when I go to work, I get briefed by my superior na parang, oh, you gotta catch this ghost. It's like an investigation, so it sets up to be an investigation. And then we go out in the wild and the city trying to investigate and all that. And the comedic part happens is the GM can throw in complications na parang, oh, I'm fighting na against this ghost creature that we found out. And then the GM can call in and said, suddenly your phone rings, your wife's calling you. So if I don't answer that, it adds added complication to my life balance. So I have a meter, like I need to have relationships with my family, I need to have relationships with my coworkers, and those, like as you mentioned here, it's gonna be giving you like dharma or adharma, like increases to ano to. So that's where I'm like going up with the relationships here. That it's also adding boosts, diba? Once you're closer to someone, soulmates, you get a boost. And then yung contested checks. And back nga dun sa Triangle Agency, yung comedic part nga. So I answer it, and my wife's is like, "Oh, what? Oh, you're late. I thought that you're coming home at 5 p.m." And I'm like, "Oh no, it's overtime." And I can't say that I work in the agency, so I gotta make something up. And I so, there's just this wild thing at work at the moment. I'll be home then. And then the wife's gonna go roleplay by the GM. Why do I hear screaming at the background? Where are you at? And then, no, it's nothing. It's just trying to hide.
Are you cheating on me? like that.
Yeah, it's gonna be like, no, it's not. So it's like wasting time. At the same time, the creature now is like flinging you around and trying to kill
Yeah.
you as well. But you're in it. So yeah, I think it's like that. It gives that vibe as well of ano to. But this one's more a bit more grounded, more raw in terms of emotion. Kasi nga, the moment that you open the scene now with introducing the beautiful NPC, it already got me into like this Casanova mindset. Oh, I gotta play this game. I don't have superpowers
Mhm.
here. In Twice Upon a Dream, I don't have magic items here. I could have, but I didn't.
You can have.
You can have. I didn't explore it yet because we have the statements, pa, diba? I can say na I look for this
Mhm.
mangkukulam, diba? Kind of thing. But it gives off that both grounded, realistic simulator vibe, but at the same time, it can be fantastic as well, as long as the
Mhm.
entire table and the FM agrees to that kind of stretch.
Right.
Yeah.
So you got it on point.
Yeah. So yeah, I mentioned nga, may barangay captain pa nga is having an affair. That's all. Actually, that's the interesting part with the statements as well that you made in this game that I find that's also good in terms of design is the fact that the statements gives players a goal to achieve
Mhm.
at the start. Like mangkukulam. There's a mangkukulam in the world. Diba? It's just a matter of where she is or what she's doing. At the same time, there's a barangay captain in the world. Diba? Is it true or
Right.
not? He's having an affair? Yeah, that's what we need to find out. And then if there's conflict that we need to fight, if words aren't enough, it's just straight up contested checks. And as you mentioned, nga, if what's critical failure here? Like a one?
Yeah, so if you get a 1, it's a failure with a negative outcome, essentially.
So you're taking like a page from like the degrees of failure, like how. So this one's
Mhm.
literally baka nga nasagasaan ng kalesa kind of thing. You try to sneak in and it fell over, got impaled or something. So death
Yeah.
here. Oh, let's say yeah, in a conflict you die, but then it's not the end of the time period yet.
Mhm.
So that means you still live.
So it's really up to the FM,
Okay,
you know,
yeah.
on how to manage it. Like, if they're really dead, they're going to have to make another character within the setting again, you know?
Okay. So
Yeah, it's like a reset.
okay. That can be an option as well pala. Yung parang, oh, it
Mhm.
dies, I'm gonna quickly make a character, second character for this setting. But then,
Exactly.
so completely new, basically a completely new character with
Mhm.
completely new life. Ano to?
Right.
Mm,
So then, like, you would go with your second character instead for the remaining lifetimes.
so kung anong whatever time is left. Now,
Right.
question for the game. Would you be adding sand timers?
That
Hourglass.
is such a good idea. You really should have that. No.
Yeah. You can do that. Yung hourglass na may like heart. Like a tower.
That's a hard thing.
Yeah, you flip it over. There we go. You can write it down for your R&D or design. Like,
Now.
an hourglass, di ba? Like an hourglass, let's say, I don't know, yeah. I mean, an hour ago, I don't know if they make hourglasses for an hour. I think they do.
I think they do.
Yeah, I think they do. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
but
so
it's much bigger, like around this size.
yeah, di ba? That's a good one. Kasi if
Mhm.
you're running face to face, di ba? This is gonna be your first life.
Okay, you got something.
Yeah. So now you can keep in the role play. You can divide. So as you mentioned, the role play is gonna be smoother. Rather than the people like, oh gosh, oh no, the life is it's ending. The period is ending, and so we need to get to soulmates. Tama ba?
Not necessarily, but that's an ideal for you to reach
So
soulmate level.
okay, so let's play. For my example here, yeah. So you mentioned nga everything's like one shots nga. So a one shot, one shot.
Mhm.
So a campaign technically is 4 hours essentially.
Exactly.
Yeah. Kasi nga since separate nga siya na one shot one. This is fun, ah. This is gonna be to be honest, I'm kind of excited as well kasi I will pick this up. This is like a sure get na rin. Kasi I'll pick this up and I'll run it with my theater folks. They love drama.
Oh,
They will love this. They all hog the spotlight. So yeah, they would love this one.
perfect.
This is perfect. All right, I can picture it na. Yeah. So yeah, that's cool na. So one shot, and then it's so simple nga yung goal. Nga. So by the end of let's say the fourth life, um, do you like tally? How does the resolute? How does everything close? Like ending, yun nga eh. Ending close. How do you end the session here? Let's say, yeah, 4 hours has elapsed. We played 4 lives na, with all the pluses and minuses, the relationships we've made and lost through the years. How does it close on the final fourth hour?
So at the fourth hour, we have another mechanic, wow, called soulmate points. So essentially, this is something for the Fate Master to keep track of. So it's to, their own discretion of the relationships that were formed with the fated characters. So this is how the ending of you and your desired romanceable NPC comes out. Like, for example, Dreamer A and Dreamer B both have 3 points with Emilia. The resolution can be open to maybe you fighting over Emilia in the end, or Emilia has to choose, or you're all polyamorous. It's definitely up to you.
So it's the ending that we establish as the group, like as the
Exactly.
table.
So it's now like a group thing na.
Okay, by the fourth hour, we wrap up na yung teleserye that we've created na just that transcends time.
Exactly.
Ah, amazing. So it's called soulmate points at the end. Yeah.
Yes, it's called soulmate points.
I have another question though. For the goal, how does the goal, like for example, from Ramon Enriquez's character sheet, the goal mentions like keeps pain in control. How does one use that in game? Like in actions lang, like try to narrate it. I mean, I'm just trying to put it in the mind of a new player.
I guess it's more like your motivation and how it will like reflect to how you role play your character. We also have like a journaling aspect to the game. It's completely optional, but you can journal about your past life, your present life, and your future life. Yes. Like just to help with more flavor and more reflection.
Well then, okay. So it's very simple. Actually, it's fun. A 4-hour game, well, maximum 4, can be played in 1 hour. Actually, 2 hours is the best because you can get to see the whole loop talaga. To see nga,
right.
And especially it's gonna be 2 hours ideal kasi nga the Fate Master can have enough prompts and obstacles and tools to throw at the players kasi nga you've established certain pluses and minuses, some relationships. So, yun nga, the fun part is the reincarnated option kasi nga from your previous, you have the same set of characters with different goals na and maybe different looks. And the FM now has more options na to throw into the scenario.
Exactly.
Kasi nga sa plus and minus. Kasi nga diba you're playing around with the relationship meter, the dharma adharma. Ayun yun yung 2 things.
And the scale of fortune too.
Oh, what's this? How does the scale of fortune?
So, in critical points, like turning points in the story or in the game, for example, let's say you want to propose to this person. That's when you'll roll like a d10 to propose, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or like we'll call for a soul check.
Yeah.
If you fail in your soul check, for example, this will affect the scale of fortune and it will decrease a tier. And once you reach a certain point, it will negate all of your rolls or add +1s to all of your rolls. for all of the lifetimes. Unlike the Dharma and Adharma points, these are non-consumable. And if you reach to like the lowest tier, which is fate sealed, you can no longer progress in your lifetimes. You can't you can't gain Dharma points or a Dharma point. You can't. Your relationships are now stagnant.
But does it mean this is one we talked about before, the parang, is this like your HP if we're trying to be hard ruled about this?
It's like your HP, and it only renews once you go to a new lifetime. Yes.
So how does one? So you mentioned a fate scale of fortune. So that means in a major turning point. What determines a major turning point in the story?
So it's up to the FM's discretion in deciding that, but usually it's like something that will change the entire course of the story, or even your relationship with someone. For example, let's say your lover got kidnapped and you're now facing the final boss and you have to fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a major turning point. So you'd also affect the scale of fortune if you pass or fail your check.
Kasi it's the stakes are high. It's life or death na, basically.
That's right.
Higher the stakes. Like, proposing for marriage, that's high stakes kasi it's either you be together na talaga, or you get
or single for life,
you get crushed. Okay. So scales of fortune. That's nice. So how high can you go for scales of fortune?
So for the scale of fortune, you can go up to +2. So that is the third tier, I believe.
So the same on the opposite end, like 3 tiers negative.
Yeah, 3 and 3.
So 3 and then those plus. Let's say I'll just put here like maybe a +3 to a -3 kind of thing.
I believe that there's no +3 or -3. It's just +2, -2.
Made the range.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. So
the range. Yeah.
2, 1, 0, -1, -2.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a scale of fortune. So with all these, parang ito na natin yung buong character sheet, tama ba? Na-cover na natin buong character sheet.
Yes, we finally covered the whole character sheet.
So those of you who watch the stream starting from tonight, there we go. You see how easy it is to learn a new RPG. It's just that simple, guys.
Yes, it's just been an hour. So.
It's just been an hour. I mean, as a GM nga rin, I always get these posts nga, especially now, diba, where we have new people coming in via D&D, diba, GMs and players, and they're all major complaint is it's hard to learn a new system, or I don't have the brain power to read a new book. But guys, learning a new board game is harder than learning a new tabletop RPG. Just learn one, learn two, and exponentially it's gonna get easier to learn. Like this one, I just learned it in an hour. An hour.
Right.
And that's it. I can already play with my friend. It's not too bad. It's not too bad, right? So we can all have fun kagad. And at the same time, the character creation is so involved. The entire group, diba, can establish things na talaga and get to play. So basically, you could be done technically in 2 hours at most, if ever. Diba? So it's like playing a board game as well.
And you can go crazy and play this in one sitting as long as you want. If you want to play 6 hours, go long. Nobody's stopping you.
Yeah, that's true. So now, like, getting to my favorite part in terms of tabletop RPG, the support for the GM, DM, in your game, it's called Fate Masters. In your book, you have naman support for those, like, tools that...
Yes.
Like suggestions, because not everyone is good at creating romance. Some are good at creating action adventure. Some GMs are good in horror, and some maybe good or not so good in romance. So yeah, we need tools as well. So there's also some suggestions like scenarios for certain things to be called in the book.
So we have provided 4 different settings
Mm-hmm.
for the Fate Master to get started with.
Mm-hmm.
So these are like your adventure modules or one-shots that you can play with. And also we have provided like 4 NPCs to get started
So they're
with.
like pre-made
Yeah,
adventure
they're
to
just
get started.
pre-made.
And that's cool. Also, one more thing. Would you be adding? I've seen other RPGs do this na yung mga from the indies ones and the newer ones that are coming out. Would you be adding like parang may example playthrough? You know, like yung dialogue, like FM says this, then player says this.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm seeing that common na right now coming out na parang
Like those mini screenplays, ganon.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Then you see those are ano to, those are like I observed rin from other creators, they started to make those as well. Para mas madali mag-grasp pa kagad ng reader the vibe of the game, how it flows, so that when they run it with their play group, di ba, parang there's no more looking back on the vague rules na parang, oh, what's this ruling called again, or how this is rules called, or how do you do this again. So yeah, that's good. That's fun.
So you won't be lost as I was when I first started DMing.
Diba? Yeah, I mean, right now, like we're both GMs, we both entered. I mean, I assumed you entered with D&D as well because I started with D&D as well.
I have.
Yeah, we both started
That's
with
the
D&D.
common ground.
Yeah, that's common ground, diba? And when we first read, diba, like the player's handbook and the monster DM's guide, we were like, how do we use all these stuff? How does this all make sense? Diba? It's all so bullet point heavy. There's nothing, diba? And then we need to rely on. Well, for me, I back then they didn't have the luxury of like having the source material of the internet as much kasi there wasn't a lot of resources back then. So I just need to rely lang on reading and then running it with some of my play group before, not just to make everything make sense. But now we're all filled with, diba, with all the content creators making content for RPGs, diba? So
Exactly.
so now we have an idea, and siguro for this one, for Twice Upon a Dream, what I find is, and which I appreciate with newer games that are coming out, is you know what the identity of your game is at the start. Diba? And I find that comforting as a GM kasi sometimes that's also the reason why I want to play other games is because I don't want to shoehorn every experience into a single game because it's tiring, you know. I don't want to reinvent the wheel, diba? So that's why I enjoy games such as this one, Twice Upon a Dream, and like shout out to One of Us Will Die, because these are both examples of games that know what they want and know what experience they want their audience to feel and to have, right?
Right. Because like, you know, there's some people who use D&D as their segue to do different or other genres, right? Like you can make it more sci-fi, more fantasy, or you can even put it in a modern setting. I've seen people do that. Yes.
But it doesn't stick, you know. It doesn't give the proper vibe. That's the thing, diba? Yeah, I mean, I understand it can run modern, but there are certain aspects in a modern setting I want rules for. You know what I mean? Yeah. Parang ganun I mean, that's where that's where most GMs also, we have like a debate or a discussion point wherein how much does a system
can provide, right?
Yeah, can provide, and then say, okay, this system can only do high fantasy and that's it. Yeah. Parang ganun kasi yun nga you can fit anything in any system, to be honest, if you're really like passionate enough and to homebrew everything, you can fit everything siguro sa Call of Cthulhu if you want to run high fantasy
Right.
in there, diba? But then there's like there's certain, like I said, we're still playing a game, so the mechanics of the game and the gameplay loop also needs to align with the vibe. I call it nga the vibe kasi ngayon lang yung like, closest ko to describe it, diba? It's not mechanics, it's just the vibe, you know? Parang
Yeah.
when you say Twice Upon a Dream, you know that the vibe is gonna be romance. You know, like, parang ganun, the vibe is gonna be romance. Our goal is to fall in love, you know. And then
Yes.
if we say, for example, I want to play Vampire the Masquerade, so the vibe is we're gonna be playing as vampires. We're gonna be fighting against werewolves or falling in love as well. I think there's falling in love as well in Vampire the Masquerade, if I'm not
Mm-hmm.
mistaken, diba? So parang ganun eh. Like it gives those, and yung mechanics supplement the vibe. You know, you have rules
Mm-hmm.
for, like ito, Twice Upon a Dream, you have rules for falling in love kasi you have the relationship meter. You know, you can gauge if you're closer to this person falling in love. Parang kung gano'n lang,
Mm-hmm.
if you think about it, na parang if you gamify life, parang it's gonna be
Yes,
so
exactly.
trivial. Oh, I know this person's gonna fall in love with me because I have this closer. If I just invest a little bit more on talking to this person, I get
Finally have a girlfriend, you know, like
girlfriend already. So yeah, so you have mechanics for that. You have your yeah, I have it down here. See your
Mhm.
relationship, and then you also have your skills of fortune. Yeah, diba? Those are the two big settings niya. Ay, two big vibe checks. That's what I call it.
Check.
Vibe check to say na this is a romance game. Diba? It's just closer to building relationships, making romance, and all that. Diba?
Exactly. You know, the funny thing is, what actually was part of the origins of this TTRPG was that when I was starting with D&D and was going into my second campaign, I wanted an otome style. So I had to
Uh,
make my own mechanics for
yeah.
romance and relationships for D&D, and I
The
was like, this doesn't feel right, but you know, I'm already here. So,
Sabagay, yan nga eh. 'Di ba? As a GM nga, you remember, you put that eh. I mean, yeah, 'di ba? It's fun, 'di ba, to have that mechanic. And then you find out na, say, okay, like, we both agree na character creation already sets the tone. And
yes, that's
that's
very true.
why, yeah, that's very true eh. And D&D does a poor job presenting it. Not gonna lie. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
diba? Yun yung ano to eh. Yun siguro rin yung where siguro new GMs and new players get the false, like get some weird assumptions about the game. Kasi nga, character creation pa lang doesn't give you the vibe of the game. It just straight up gives you, oh, pick a race, pick a class. And then,
And
here's
then
your
you're
gear.
just like, here's your fantasy game.
Yeah, 'di ba? As compared to other games wherein, 'di ba, like for example, you guys in Twice Upon a Dream, you create the world. So you already create the assumptions and expectations as a gameplay mechanic, as a vibe, 'di ba? So that by the time you create your character, everyone's on the same page, like on the same vibe wavelength na, oh, we're playing a romance game, right? No one's gonna be
Right.
creating an overpowered dwarf with, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah. So yun nga eh. I mean, I also, one of my favorites rin, one of my list is Cyberpunk Red. I know it's not
Oh,
the
yeah.
best Cyberpunk, but I love Cyberpunk Red, especially with the Edge Runners na, because
It's really good.
it's good. The vibe gives you talaga na, um,
Like
s-
sci-fi.
yeah, and the loss of humanity na parang it's
Mm-hmm.
not trying to survive the world of dystopian future where corporations run your life, but it's trying to survive yourself because you're gonna be seeing a lot more of death, a lot more of suffering, and you're just
Mm-hmm.
fighting it off na parang, oh, why do I keep surviving, you know, you're like, why do I keep surviving in this hellscape, you know? And also, I understand rin, that's why I'm also having a hard time running it rin at the moment, is because
It's heavy.
it's heavy and it's a little bit closer to what's happening in in real life na. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We were in this hyper capitalistic world, and everyone's like trying to find side hustles and trying to make ends meet. You know, so like,
And we're having
oh,
like a mini recession, so it's just
yeah,
like, okay.
yeah. So parang if I offer this game na parang for a form of escapism, it's like we're not escaping, we're just trying to relive it. So parang, RM, why are you trying to run Cyberpunk? We're trying to relive it. We're already living in one. So we need something to escape. So sabi ko nga is, yeah, it gets the vibe done. And yun nga, back to our topic nga, Twice Upon a Dream. I would say it really lands well. And this is still the light version, right? So what
Yeah.
more would you guys flesh out? May
Oh my
patikim ba kayo on
gosh.
your list? What more would you flesh out? Kasi this is already like the minimum viable playable product, I guess, right? This is like
Right.
functional part. So what more are you guys planned, or are you open to share that with us?
I am very open to share that. So we're
Okay.
hoping to make it like more campaign length. So this would be multiple sessions and we would go more in depth in like character creation. Because just a little spoiler, there's some aspects that I personally wanted to add, like for example, going more into looks. Like, for example, if you have brown eyes, would that reoccur in the next life or something? Or would that be something that your romanceable NPC identifies you through? And also,
Mm.
like, it's kind of like Stardew, likes and dislikes,
Ah,
you
so
know?
it's okay. So that's gonna be that this interconnected um value system in your character sheet,
Mm,
with your relationships and all, that would prompt the FM to make more compelling scenarios between the
right.
couples. So now this next question for characters, since you're gonna be adding those kinds of options, would you guys be adding races as well, or there's no race because you want things to be open to any romance, not bounded
Exactly.
on human relations.
Exactly. For all I care, you can play as the Animal Crossing characters if you want. I won't stop you and
Okay.
reincarnate.
All right. So we're getting to that territory na parang, okay, no judge. This is how we're romancing this at this time, guys. So
You
okay.
can be a cat in a row. It's up to
Uh,
you. I won't stop you.
okay. It's your private game. It's your private game. Your table, your rules. Okay, cool. So there will be no race, but gender. Would gender play a part?
Gender does play a part, and also, of course, your sexuality to
Mm-mm.
really get into it.
Mm-mm.
Because, like maybe you want to be straight throughout the whole game and just
Uh,
get women, or
or
maybe you want monogamy and just stick with one person throughout the whole story. We keep it open, especially since we try to make a game that is friendly for the LGBTQ plus community,
Mhm.
for instance, and also that, invites people to experience relationships in all forms.
Oh, that's nice. That's so
Yes.
nice. Now,
Thank you.
okay, now here is a little bit more of the risky part. Can kids play?
I do not recommend children to
There we
play
go.
this. I know teenagers will play this, but children, that's another thing.
That's interesting. Yeah, teenage. Oh, so I guess you're gonna have like the usual high school setting, no? Like your One Tree
Right.
Hills, your yeah, One Tree Hill was one of the high school setting. What else? Riverdale. Yeah, Riverdale was high school.
Riverdale.
Gossip Girls. Was there really Gossip Girls? Like
There
type of
can be
scenario.
Mean
Mean
Girls.
Girls. Oh, that's gonna be whack in that scenario. That's gonna be cool. Cool to see. You know.
hmm
Oh, this
We had some cool suggestions too from players. They were like, "How about a superhero setting?" And I'm like, "Genius!"
superhero, but focuses more on the romance part.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, the romance part. Like in comics, it's gonna be Batman and Wonder Woman. Yeah, you need
Or
something like that.
Catgirl.
Or Catwoman.
Debatable.
Yeah, yeah, Batman or Catwoman.
Catwoman. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. as long as we're just focusing on the relationship aspect, then that's fine. That's good.
Mhm.
Actually, it's gonna be
Yeah.
interesting, guys. It's also gonna be comedic, in my opinion, when it comes to superheroes. Because if you're focusing on the romance, that means the fight's done. If the fight's done,
It's
you
like, is that
defeated
you skip
you're
that?
skipping that. We're going back. Na parang, oh, as Clark Kent, I'm gonna be like, oh, sorry, Lois, I was just out. And where were we? Where were we, Lois? You know.
Roll charm.
Yeah, roll Sharon, get back on Lois and trying to woo Lois, who you left hanging for a couple of hours because you had to save the world from Brainiac.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, so this is another take. This is a good take. I mean, this is what I love Siguro. Yeah, it's a very agnostic in terms of what it can
Mhm.
be. It just focuses
Exactly.
on guys, romance. Like we're focusing on the romance part. You know, that's
Mhm.
that can go hand in hand as well. That's fun. Amazing.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I guess for now, siguro for before we end our stream and give our goodbyes to our viewers, uh, maybe I have a one question rin pala. This is as a GM to GM. Let,
Yes.
wherein here's my question. Oh, here's something like a food for thought, and maybe like a tip, Bren, for maybe aspiring GMs as well to whatever system. Um,
Mhm.
I've read this like horror stories on Reddit, and this one's a scenario. Alright, the player is the one who posted. He's a player. There are four of them. One player happens to be like an experienced GM before, and three of
Mm,
them
mhm.
are new players. And then the GM is also a new one. And
Oh, okay.
the scenario is the GM, the newbie GM is like having a bad time basically kasi he prepped for a week. You know, like when new GMs come, they over prep at times, they over prep and everything, and try to set everything up like perfectly. You know, you prep for the sounds, the battle maps, and all that. And come game day, only the veteran GM who happens to be the player was the one like role playing talaga, doing his part. While the three other new players are, like the beer and pretzels kind of thing, yung very memes, very taking the game very
Mhm.
casually, as I want to call it. And the new GM felt parang he wasted his time or he felt down. You know what I mean? Yung parang, oh, I was trying
Mhm.
to have this very serious role play moment, but most of my players are just keeping, like the memes, just uh, playing around and not taking the game seriously kind of thing. And he's asking like advice from the community in the D&D subreddit. And most of the replies were like just leave the table and find a new group. That was like the default. Ano to, na parang, oh yeah, they were
Oh.
assholes. You gotta leave them and find a own group. And I want your opinion on that before, like, was that like the appropriate like advice for a new GM to have? Now, if you have like this group of players, and this is how you prep, and they kind of took it really casually, and the only solution is, yeah, that's not my table. Let me find a new group na lang that appreciates like how I GM. What's your thoughts
Mm.
on those? Kasi yun yung sinasuggest nila, and I have my own thoughts as well. I'll share mine after you try to give yours on that scenario.
Just based on my experience, the most important thing is like finding the ground between you and your players and establishing already since the beginning what type of tone that you want to carry out your storylines. Because, from my experience doing this professionally, some people just want to take it lighthearted, and that's what you've established as a table. But some people really want to go into the story, the lore, and the character creation and building throughout the line, kind of like Baldur's Gate
Mhm.
in a way. So it's really finding that ground level. you don't have to leave your table. It's just a matter of communication between you and your players on like what you want to achieve, or like what kind of game that you want to create or experience rather for everyone.
Actually, I share the same sentiments. That's the same thing I commented, and it's like no one's playing the game wrong in that table if you look at
Yeah.
it. I mean, yes, I feel for the GM who prep, like curated the music that he wants to play, set up created all these NPCs with delicate backstories and all that for players sana to interact with. But come game day, you don't know talaga what the players would be doing, diba? And that's why nga, as us GMs, diba, we already found a way just to prepare things that no would get playtime at the table so that we don't have wasted prep work, right?
Exactly.
And it boils down nga to having, I guess yung sabi ko nga with the hobby being so accessible right now, session zero has become like the most important thing. Kasi the safest is you can play with your close friends. They won't mind, diba? They're your close friends for a reason, diba? That's why it's easier.
Right.
But then sometimes you crave for that community of playing with people with the same passion in the hobby, the same viewpoint, diba? And you want something more, and that's why you branch out. And once you branch out, you suddenly realize na you need to they're not yet your friends, but you still need to build that rapport, build that common ground, as you mentioned earlier, na your fun and my fun can be achieved with these compromises, with these changes a bit, diba? And no
Yes.
one can hog. Kasi nga, you mentioned, the GM can overprep and wants like the deeper story. Diba? One player was like the experienced GM, so siya yung nakiride kagad with the story na trying to interact and role play with every NPC, while the other two were just yung for the vibes, as what I want to call those types of players, diba? Yung for the vibes. And they're not playing it wrong kasi nga they show up eh. But their fun is just different lang, diba? It's just a different. And yun nga, the thing nga to do that is to communicate. Or what I always say nga, parang, everyone should just learn to play along. just, kasi, yeah, you just learn to play along and learn to compromise, sa mga play style. Kasi iba-ibang play style, iba-ibang GM style, iba-iba pang expectations. Especially if you have players that approach the hobby coming from the high production streams. Diba? Your critical roles, your high drama,
Yes.
critical roles, and your improv comedy, like Dimension 20. Diba? Those two are play styles that don't translate well to some home games. Diba? Some home games are more scoffy na I've played in a game wherein we flip the box mostly all the time kasi we want this gritty combat talaga na very tactical that we kumbaga the difference between a long sword and a short sword isn't just the damage dice, but also the reach and also how strong you you know what I mean? I mean, I remember like old school D&D nga and which hindi na yata na-apply ngayon sa 5th edition, wherein if you play like a fairy character, you're gonna have a hard time carrying a great axe unless you have a certain strength like you have a strength attribute that you can carry a great axe. So kumbaga may scales of
Oh.
Yeah, nowadays diba if you read nga sa 5th edition and itong sa newer one, a fairy can carry a great axe fine. There's no penalties, there's no disadvantage on the roll. So parang in terms of the fantasy, it's already like out there. Like it's up to the table na lang if you wanna implement na you need to have like a strength of 13 or 18 as a fairy in order to carry a great axe or call for disadvantage every time you roll. But the rules don't give that. So parang ganun. So you can see na, diba? you play as a fairy but you have a great axe, great sword. So it's comically disproportioned, diba? So parang ganun. May mga play groups na ganun. Gusto nila yung ganun. And then yung others ngayon for the vibes lang, they just want to role play. Others nga just want to role play nga and then when it comes to characters nga, they can't even recall what their abilities are or what their abilities can do, diba? But it's all good. It's all good. Kasi we're all having fun at the end of the day, diba?
Exactly. So that's the most important thing.
Yeah. So for a new GMs talaga out there, just talk to your table talaga. Kasi nga, you can share your problems to the internet, but we don't know the circumstance. We don't know the nuances. Because my table, when I run my games, is different from Kara's table when she runs her games. Diba, we may run D&D, but the experiences are both different, right? So I can't give like unsolicited solicited advice to Kara if she has problems at her table, diba? And Kara can
Yeah.
also just assume things that's happening in my table because there are a lot of factors, diba? If you think about it,
Mm.
happening, diba? Kaya nga, yun rin, for new GMs, na parang before you go straight to the internet and share your horror stories, maybe perhaps take a step back. Talk to your table talaga, yung masinsinan talaga, like to your table, and address the issue eh. Kasi parang weird nga, no, when GMs ask other GMs about their table problems. Kasi parang tayong naging chismis na lang. You know what I mean?
Honestly, yeah,
Yeah,
I
di
can
ba?
see
Di
that.
ba? Na parang, why would I give advice based lang sa context that you give me? And that's already just part of, kumaga, half the story. We don't know what's happening. We haven't even heard nga the side of the players kasi nga, this is just the GM complaining. So parang,
Let's have another Reddit post somewhere.
yeah, I don't know, di ba? Pero yun lang. Yun lang yung I find funny rin and at the same time medyo weird in terms of the D&D community when it comes to the horror stories. Parang the GMs are quick to weigh in. Make the
Yes.
call, di ba? Na parang kung, hindi yata eh, kasi no one's playing the game right or wrong, to be honest. Any
Mhm.
approach is fine as long as everyone's having a good time, di ba? It's just a matter of addressing all expectations, addressing all types of fun, di ba? How you wanna approach it, you know.
That's
So,
right.
yeah. So, ayun. Let's live on a high note. Kasi we believe that. Yeah, so when are we seeing you next, pala, Cara?
So we are seeing, well, me
Yeah,
again next this Friday or after next Friday, right? For
oh yeah,
the demo play of Twice Upon a Dream,
there
but
we go.
also I'll be around for All Aboard to demo Twice Upon a Dream and some other D&D modules that I have made too.
All right. So, can you get what the dates of All Aboard are on May 29 to June 1?
Yes, to June 1. That's right.
All
It's
4
4
days.
days.
4 days, guys. I'll be there as well. I'll be going around as well, and I'm gonna get a copy of Twice Upon a Dream and
Yes.
have it signed. And have it signed. I want to run it with my folks as well, with my friends as well.
Go for it.
Yeah. So with that, it's been 2 hours. It's been me, RM, and here's Kara. And this is RD3. We're going to be seeing you next week for a live play of Twice Upon a Dream and or maybe a live play of One of Us Will Die as well. And we'll be seeing you in the next stream. See you guys.
See you.
Goodbye.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.